Decades ago, they encountered Earth not as a fledgling species, but as a force of unexpected brilliance, brutal, inventive, and unyielding. The Council had miscalculated. They believed they were entering the domain of primitives. What they found was a race of strategists, of warriors, of survivors who adapted faster than any enemy they had ever known. Humanity's early fleets were raw, but their tactics were revolutionary, improvised, terrifyingly effective. The Council suffered losses that carved wounds into their pride, wounds that would fester into memory, and then, eventually, be forgotten. They withdrew, humiliated, vowing caution. For a time, they watched Earth from afar, wary, respectful. But time erodes fear. Generations passed, the scars faded. The caution once burned into the Council's mind dimmed to embers. Earth, after all, had been quiet, passive, content to remain within its little pocket of stars. No outreach, no aggression, no expansion. The younger Council members began to whisper. Perhaps the stories were embellished. Perhaps Earth was never truly dangerous. A one-time rebellion, a statistical anomaly. Their elders were dismissed as relics, and slowly, the Council's narrative changed. What had once been respect curdled into contempt. Contempt led to arrogance. And arrogance demanded action. It began as a whisper in a chamber, then a proposal, then a plan. Earth, they said, was ripe for control. Unarmed, unready, unworthy of independence, a small fleet was assembled. Not a war force, but a probe, a test of Earth's supposed strength. They expected minimal resistance, a swift, surgical operation, something to remind the galaxy of the Council's dominance. They believed humanity had grown soft, distracted, irrelevant. They were wrong. As the Council ships crossed the invisible boundary into human space, they encountered nothing. No resistance, no patrols, no scans. System after system stood, silent, dark, abandoned. The commanders laughed. This will be over by midday, one of them said. They did not know they were being watched. They could not feel the ancient eyes from the void, or hear the whispered command rippling through hidden frequencies. They didn't realize the darkness had been waiting. In a remote corner of the galaxy. Far from prying eyes, a fleet stirred, a secret armada, crafted in silence. Forged from legacy, descendants of the warriors who first repelled the Council. Children raised on stories not of fear, but of vengeance. They had trained in silence, waited with patience, perfected their craft. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were intellect honed into weaponry, selected from birth for brilliance, resilience, and focus. Their ships were nightmares of precision, stealth vessels wrapped in adaptive alloys, railguns that struck like thunderbolts, torpedoes that bent space-time to follow their targets, AI-controlled systems capable of rewriting tactical responses mid-battle. The enemy would move, and the humans would already know where. And now, their moment had come. The Council had breached sacred space. The signal was sent. The blade was drawn. From asteroid fields and nebula shadows, the human fleet emerged, like ghosts. Cloaking deactivated, engines lit with silent fire. They moved as one. No radio, no warning, no mercy. In mere seconds, the Council's probing fleet was surrounded. Before a single admiral could issue a command, their sensors went dark. Targeting arrays scrambled. Communications severed. Then, the assault began. Railgun slugs tore through hulls like paper. Plasma lances melted control towers. Drones swarmed like intelligent hornets, disabling engines and escape pods with surgical efficiency. What was supposed to be a demonstration of power became a massacre. A message, a reckoning. The Council's vessels fell apart, some exploding, some left adrift, powerless, systems fried. Others collided as their formations broke, and panic took root. Captains shouted in chaos, orders overlapped. Command lines shattered. Discipline evaporated. And all the while, the humans struck, with perfect calm. They moved like predators who had studied their prey for decades, because they had. Every weakness was known. Every strategy anticipated. The humans didn't fight harder, they fought smarter. Across the void, the galaxy watched, and remembered. The Council, stunned by the annihilation, reacted as empires always do, with more firepower. Dreadnoughts were deployed. Massive artillery carriers. Experimental weapons, elite fighter swarms. They believed brute force could succeed where arrogance had failed, but brute force is predictable. And predictability kills. The humans didn't meet them head-on. Instead, They fractured into hundreds of micro-units, agile, evasive, coordinated. Strike groups that emerged, hit weak points, and vanished. Every skirmish was a trap, every counterattack a feint. Every system targeted was vital, cloaked ships infiltrated, rear lines, disabling fuel depots and command vessels. Fighter pilots danced through waves of enemy fire, delivering pinpoint strikes that collapsed shield arrays or ruptured reactor cores. A young ace weaved through dreadnought defenses and fired a single rail slug into the heart of a Council battleship. Vanishing before it exploded, a veteran captain led a feint through an asteroid belt, baiting the enemy into an ambush that annihilated their carrier group. The Council's heavy ships, slow and shield-reliant, became easy targets. Their siege weapons were too slow to lock on. Their strategies obsolete. The humans did not just defeat them, they out-hot them, every step ahead. Every answer ready. As losses mounted, as leaders fell, as command turned to panic, the truth became impossible to ignore. They had walked into a trap. And they were expected. When the Council attempted to regroup, humanity blocked escape routes, cut communications, jammed command frequencies. They controlled the field, not with size, but with strategy. Retreat was no longer possible. The Council wasn't fighting a rebellion. They were facing a civilization that had evolved into a weapon. The once proud empire, convinced it could control a sleeping world, now found itself begging for survival in a battlefield it could no longer understand. And so the message was made clear, written in burning wreckage across the stars. We were never silent because we were weak. We were silent because we were waiting.